He name dropped Barry Ross, who was a sprint coach. He coached, this young lady. She was 132 pounds to win the nationals at the 400-meter run. That girl could deadlift at 132 pounds, 315 for five, and her bench press was like, I think it was high 100s, like 180s. Same idea.
Yes.
Yeah, well, when you're strong, you're a better 400-meter runner. It's two questions. So if I'm a coach and I want to be better at coaching aerobic capacity, give me like your quick and dirty recommendations for me to be better at coaching aerobic capacity.
The first thing I would say again is always going to come down to the pacing and like trying to stress for the athletes, regardless of what the time frame is, to go for that sustainable pace that they can maintain between the work and the rest from the beginning to the end of that workout. And if you're seeing them crash, halfway through or 3/4 through, then the pace was off. And that,
Would you say that, how there's percentages and like typical percentages for weightlifting, right? Like your 5 rep max is roughly 80% of your 1 rep max. Do you think aerobic training follows a similar spectrum?
yeah, it probably does. For myself, I usually go off of like an RPE type thing, like a
Yeah.
scale of 1 to 10. Um,
The map system.
Maybe that, I don't know. I'm not familiar.
That's from OPEX, the max or MAP.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good one as well. They use percentages there too. Slightly, well, they use like different time frames. I think 30 on, 30 off is like map 1, and then
Mhm.
all the way up to like 10 minutes on, 2 minutes off is like map 10.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. He never goes beyond with map. He never goes beyond, I think, 2 minutes off, because once you pass that, you shouldn't be going so hard that you can't recover within 2 minutes. Otherwise, it's not really aerobic.
Yeah.
But what I was saying was, yeah, I go with like an RPE sort of thing. And so a lot of times it'll be like 8 out of 10 is like a pretty good range to be in. If you feel like you're going higher than an 8 out of 10, then it's probably not aerobic, but it could be if you're trained and acclimated to it.
Yeah. Especially if it's the last effort in an interval workout.
Yeah. You have to be really in tune. So with pacing in general, you just have to be really in tune with your body. And it takes a
Mhm.
long time to learn what those paces feel like, what is actually sustainable, because it's so easy to fall into that trap of going too fast, or too hard, too fast. So you need to know what's sustainable. And it's also, on the flip side, easy to get into a place that sucks and think that you have to slow down when maybe you don't.
Did you think that book made you like a drastic jump in coaching skill?
I think it gave me that book, Jack Daniel's Running Formula, gave me a really good framework to work from. So I mentioned the E runs, but there's also these 3 other categories of running that he throws in there. I believe one's like a threshold run. One is I can't remember. There's 2 other. I can't remember what they're called, but it just goes by basically the time domain that you could sustain it for.
Mhm.
Those E runs being the longest ones, and then whatever he calls the fast ones, or something that you can really only sustain for like 2 minutes or something like that. So it's just these 4 categories, and he gives you a framework of how to program them, starting off with the E runs, then introducing one of the faster ones, and then introducing one of the threshold ones, and then the fastest one, I think, is how it goes in that order. And so, yeah, it gave me a good framework to program and divide up my training. So highly recommend that for anybody. And I'm sure it carries over from running into cycling and that sort of stuff too.
So how about if I'm an athlete? Let's say I'm going to give you 2 athlete scenarios. One is I'm on the couch and I want to start running. What is your recommendation for me as you are my coach? What should I do? 1 day a week, 5 day a week? Should I do just time-based training, distance-based?
Yeah, if you are somebody who's on the couch and doing no exercise at all.
Let's say I walk. I'm capable of running.
Yeah. Then I would say if you want to get into running though, but you haven't been doing it,
Yeah.
I would definitely go with time-based training. I like that better. So I would give you something 20 minutes or less. I don't know. It would depend exactly on where you were at.
Hmm.
It might be less if you're really deconditioned. And then it would probably be 2 days a week minimum, 3 to 4 days a week maximum. Yeah. So like for you, if I just saw you, somebody who looked like you, but you haven't been exercising, then I would say I would probably go with a solid first week is going to be 3 days, 20 minutes at just whatever pace you can sustain without slowing down. Like if I'm next to you, we could talk the whole time.
Hmm.
That sort of pace. So that's
I
what I,
love the use of conversational pace. I love that term.
yeah. So that's what I would do. Like if I saw somebody who looked like you, who looks like they're fully capable of everything, just hasn't been working out for whatever reason,
Hmm.
stay 3 days a week, 20 minutes at that pace for the first week. Then we'll reassess maybe the same thing the next week, or we might add a day.
Hmm.
And
I mean,
then,
that's a super low barrier to entry to become an excellent runner.
yeah, super. And if you just did that 3 days a week, 20 minutes for a month, just to get your body acclimated to exercise and the impact,
Yep.
and then you can start incorporating another day that might have a slightly different style, like maybe the intensity's higher, maybe you're doing intervals or something.
Hmm.
But yeah, you just ease into it. That's all.
Now that I'm thinking about it, in that same Tim Ferriss book, he name dropped Barry Ross, who was a sprint coach. He coached, this young lady. She was 132 pounds to win the nationals at the 400-meter run. That girl could deadlift at 132 pounds, 315 for five, and her bench press was like, I think it was high 100s, like 180s. Same idea.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, when you're strong, you're a better 400-meter runner, like
Yeah.
strong as shit.
Yep.
But he said his preseason training was 3 days a week of power walking. It was like split. I gotta say, it was like right around the 15 to 30 minute mark. But you'd just walk halfway time wise as far as you can, and then turn around, and you had to just match that pace back. And power walking, it doesn't sound hard. It's hard.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of experience power walking, but I imagine. But that concept of out and back is
Yeah.
one of my favorite pacing things. I first saw it from Chris Hinshaw. I don't know where else.
I mean, he probably took it from
Probably took it from
his.
somebody, yeah. But I love that, and it's something very similar. Like he'll have workouts all the time where you run for 3 minutes in that direction, and then
Yep.
you turn around and you run back. But I believe it's set up so like you don't look at your watch on the way back until you get back to the starting point, and then you got to see if it's
Check.
exactly the same time or
Yep.
not.
A pacing exercise. That's awesome.
I love that sort of stuff. Yeah. Anything else you want to throw in before we move on to topic number 2?
Do less volume and do more cross training. It'll stop you from getting hurt.
Yep.